So the theme of March is healing is revealing, right? Healing is revealing. And last week we talked about our birthright. It is our birthright. Ernest Holmes said it is our birthright to live all of those qualities of God, abundance and balance and beauty. And healing is the revelation in our lives of what is true all along. It is the revelation of the truth that all of those qualities of God exist within us. And they demonstrate through us to the extent that we believe we embody and we demonstrate them. We were born in the image and after the likeness of the Creator, which means we are endowed with the same qualities that God has: abundance and beauty and balance and power and peace and all of that good stuff. And so as an outpicturing of spirit in human form, we create our lives the way spirit creates everything else. You know, we create in the truth that we are whole, perfect, and complete. We lack nothing to live a fully self-actualized life. And when we remember this, stuff just keeps flowing. When we remember who we are, when we remember how powerful we truly are, we continue to create with that power. We continue to outpicture with that power. Ernest Holmes said, there is no process of healing, there is only a process in healing. And it is the revelation of the truth of who we are all the time. When we drop the false beliefs, when we drop the words of error, what happens is the shining radiant truth comes forward. And the shining radiant truth is what is there all along, that we are whole, perfect, and complete. It is the truth revealed. And we demonstrate it. We demonstrate that truth, whether it's abundance or health or balance or beauty. We demonstrate it in our lives, through our lives, as us, when we remember this. When we remember this truth, it dissolves away that false belief. It dissolves away that word of error, and that just goes back to the nothingness from which it came. We turn away from the condition. And that is so important. We turn away from the condition. We don't spend our time and our mental energy dwelling in what we don't want. We turn away from the condition. We embrace the truth until it is revealed, until it is demonstrated in our lives. Now, that being said, the talk this week is the healing heart of love. And I have to be so careful when I create talk titles because I wind up living with them. Weeks on end, I wind up living with them. And the truth is, this past week, everything unlike healing and everything unlike love and everything unlike heart came up for me to look at. Isn't that lovely? I'm going to start talk titles that say, how to invest that $100 million you just won, things like that, so I can live with that for a while. So the healing heart of love, isn't that a wonderful, it's a wonderful sentiment, the healing heart of love. It's a terrific title, it is. Well, sometimes they're just not fun, sometimes they're just not fun to live. And this week in particular, I felt like everything unlike that was coming up for me. This past Wednesday was the 13th anniversary of the shooting at Santana High School in Santee. And it's always a rough day for me. It's always a really sad, weepy kind of tender time for me. Charles Andy Williams shot and killed 2 students at Santana High School and wounded 13. And it changed life as we knew it in that little, small, safe, Mayberry kind of a town. It changed the consciousness of the people that lived there. And now, it happened, 2 years after Columbine, so probably shouldn't have been as naive as we were, but we still had that feeling, that small town feeling, up until that occurred. It's funny. One of the rules that they teach you in ministerial school is you don't ever discuss anything from the platform that you haven't already healed. Rule number 1, you don't talk about it unless you've already healed it, so you can be an inspiration to the congregation. And, being healed from it, then you can speak to the process you went through in healing. Well, I'm breaking that rule today because for me, it is still a process. I don't feel that I'm through with that yet. You know, it still comes up for me, and I'm in process about it. And you know, for me, it's about, you know, being the perfect minister. Of course, my ego wants me to be the perfect minister, but I think that it's more important to be an authentic minister. And so here I am, you know, just being really authentic. And I still struggle with that. I still struggle with that event, and I'm working on it. And it's been 13 years, and I'm a lot better than I was. You know, one of the things I do in spiritual counseling is I teach people, well, you know, we facilitate all kinds of healings, and we use different tools. And one of the things I say when we're doing forgiveness work is we pray that person. We pray that person that we're doing the forgiveness work with. And I keep telling people, you know, you pray until you can see them as God sees them. Wow. And you know, sometimes that's a really big undertaking. And I'm not there yet. It's only been 13 years. It's going to take a little while longer, I guess. But you know, it is our spiritual practice. It's exactly what it is. And I think the interesting thing and the important thing is to not beat ourselves up because we're not perfect. Not beat ourselves up because we haven't reached that level of healing yet. But I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. You know, healing is not a destination. It is a revelation. Healing is not a destination. It's a revelation. It is the revealing of what is in us all along. When we drop the false belief, when we drop the words of error, the healing is the revelation, what comes forward from within us all the time. When we drop the belief in persecution and condemnation and judgment, we do see others as God sees them, whole, perfect, and complete. We see them with the eyes of unconditional love, and that is the really true healing of the heart. That is what it is. You know, Wednesday, March 5th, in addition to, was also Ash Wednesday, right? In the Catholic tradition, in the Catholic faith tradition, it was Ash Wednesday, and it was the beginning of Lent. Yay! Now, in Lent, we give up something, right? You've heard that, right? In the spiritual tradition, they give up something for Lent. And like when we were kids, I remember always wanting to give up Brussels sprouts, you know, or something like that. I can do without that for 40 days, you know. Give up, you know, stuff we didn't like. But when we reach adulthood and we know it is the practice of self-discipline. So we give up something that maybe we enjoy or something that we kind of like, chocolate or coffee, you know, whatever. We give up something that we like to indulge in, some creature comfort for the 40 days so that we can prove, you know, that we have this inner strength. We have this self-discipline. So we can give up stuff like that. But in New Thought, we look at the Lenten season a little differently. In New Thought, we kind of look at it as let's entertain new thoughts. Yay, Lent, L-E-N-T. Let's entertain new thoughts, right? So for us, it's about a new thing in our lives. You know, it's not so much giving something up, but it's more about dropping things that no longer serve us, you know? How about let's end negative thinking? There you go, Lent. Let's end negative thinking. We can do that too, right? So it's about dropping those things that no longer serve us so that we can have a new thought, so we can transform our lives. You know, so it's not by renouncing something we love, but it's about giving up something that no longer serves us. Giving up something that no longer serves us, like negative thoughts. Let's end negative thinking. I think it's a great interpretation of Lent. And we're a practical spirituality, so how do we do that? You know, it's easy to say, oh, well, you know, just don't do that anymore. Well, I've been thinking about that too, and I think that there are really 3 areas that we can discuss that really can help transform those thoughts. You know, first thing is understand how we think. Let's understand how we think. You know, you have 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. What do you do with all those thoughts? Like 50 to 70,000 thoughts every day. So we have to understand at some point that we are in control of the thoughts we think. Let's face it, they're in our heads. You know, nobody else is in there with you. It's all yours. The call is coming from inside the house. You know what I mean? Those are your thoughts. We're the only ones in our head, so we get to choose that. We are that powerful. So we need to understand and take ownership to our thoughts. Now, you have to remember, our thoughts can influence our blood pressure, our lifespan, our depression, colds and flu, the ability to create and sustain relationships. Our thoughts can influence all of that stuff. So we have to own up to the truth that we are the ones responsible for our own thoughts. And really take that ownership. Take it seriously, and really see and think and check in with ourselves about what we're thinking. Second thing, I thought about things to avoid. Things to avoid when you're taking ownership to your thoughts. So something to avoid is black and white thinking. You know that either or, black and white? Nothing is black and white. Nothing. And never, ever engage in exaggeration. These are the kinds of things that we think about. They're not truths. Whenever you say always and never, they're not truths. They're not truths. They might be feelings that we have, but they're not truths. Black and white thinking tends to generalize life, and it's an overgeneralized life. Life is way more complex than just black and white. See those shades of grays. Think about things. Sit in them and look at both sides of things. Or there's more than 2 sides. Maybe there's 10 sides. Things are just not that black and white. And avoid personalizing things. That's another thing to avoid. Avoid personalizing. He did that to me. No, he didn't. Not really. We're all just getting by as best we can. And we stumble over each other. I remember Kathy Hearn used to say we're in relationship to rub off the rough edges on each other. And we don't do it on purpose, but we grow up all over each other. We do. And I'm sorry that what I did hurt you, but I didn't do it specifically to hurt you. In my unskilled behavior, I bumped up against you and you felt a certain way about that. But I don't think we go around hurting each other on purpose. And really, honestly, it's not all about you. Sorry. It's all about me. No. I'm only kidding. We're just all together walking each other home. That's what we're doing. We're all here together walking each other home. And sometimes the unskilled behavior will bump up against us, but it's really not about us. Let's not take it personally. Remember that sign I told you about? We're all kind of holding, the one that on the outside says, "Tell me more." When someone is talking, just you lean into it, and the outside says, "Tell me more." But on the inside of the sign facing you, it says, "And this has nothing to do with me." And that's really the truth. It has nothing to do with us. When you think about things, you have a choice to think about them in a positive light or think about them in a negative light. And since it's only a story in your head, why not choose the good one? It's only a story in your head anyway. You're making it up. So make up a good one. What difference does it make? Avoid catastrophizing. It doesn't help because the story is only happening in our head. And avoid fortune telling. I love that one. You know what this means, don't you? You know what's going to happen, don't you? No, you don't know what's going to happen. None of us know what's going to happen. And we do that. We make up the stories in our head so much. So question your thoughts. Question your thoughts all the time. If we're going to know what we're thinking, if thinking out pictures in our lives, if the predominant thoughts that are going on in our heads are going to start manifesting and showing up around us, don't you want to know what you've been thinking all along? Because it's going to show up. The circumstances in your life right now are your report card of your previous thinking. How about that? If you don't like what's going on right now, think about the thoughts you're thinking so that you can change them and outpicture something different in the future. Replace those negatives with positives. Question your thoughts. Do I really believe this? Do I really believe this thought? Is this my thought, or is this the thought of a grandfather or a teacher or my group or my family or something? Think of your thoughts and question. What does this mean? Do I know what this means? How do I know what this means? And then the third thing, positive thinking takes time. Positive thinking takes time. We don't just come into a faith tradition like this and transform our lives through this practical spirituality like that, and it just happens all at once. Positive thinking takes time. We have been conditioned to think a certain way for our whole lives, and so now we're changing that. We're looking at it, we're awakening to it, and we're changing our thinking, and we're changing our lives, as Ernest Holmes said. But it does not happen immediately, and it doesn't happen 100% of the time always. And sometimes we slip, and sometimes we fall back into habit patterns. Don't beat yourself up for slipping. Don't beat yourself up for thinking that same old thought again. Love yourself through it. Be that observer in your life, but be the loving, nurturing observer and not the critical parent. Love yourself when you slip up. And try new things, change things, challenge yourself. Be aware that you can change that thinking all along the way with reading new material, trying things you've never tried before. When was the last time you did something for the first time? When was the last time you did something for the first time? If it's been too long, you need to get out there and do something different. And remember to have fun. Remember to have fun. It's so much easier to be forgiving, to have that healing heart of love if you've started with yourself. You're a wonderful person. Spirit has saw fit to incarnate as you. Isn't that a miracle? Isn't that marvelous? Each one of us, an individualized expression of this one life. You are a miracle in the making. Loving yourself is really, really an important part of the healing heart of love. Loving yourself for all that you are. Each one of us is this incredible, incredible diamond with all of the different facets. You are so many things. You have so many qualities, and each one of them is a gift, each one. So these are small ways that we can change our thinking on a daily basis and embrace that larger life and look at the world through our healed heart of love, our healed heart of love. For the next 40 days, well, a little less than that now, in the Lenten season, let's end negative thinking. Let's do it together. You with me? Absolutely. That's really what reveals this healing heart. End the negative thinking. Let's recreate the world in that image. When we see the world for what it is, the great adventure it is, the great adventure for your soul that it is, then we can play. And then those unskilled behaviors of other people won't hurt us. They can't hurt us. We're the outpicturings of Spirit. All the abundance, all the beauty, all the balance is right within us. When we know and we see Spirit in and through and as everything, when we see them as God sees them, there's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to forgive. We use the qualities of God, known as love and joy and wisdom and wholeness and abundance, as our guiding principles. We are looking at the world through a healed heart. Then we hold nothing against anyone because we are healed. We are healed, and then we look out on a world that we bless by our healing, and then others transform in our midst. That's just what happens. We become the place where Spirit shows up as love, as forgiveness, as unconditional love. And then we heal the world around us by our presence in it. That is the truth of who we are. That is the truth of who we are. So for the next 40 days, are you with me? Yes. Let's end negative thinking. Let's entertain new thoughts. Let's change the world. Thank you so much.